Brother Delore, let's just give her a little love. Oh my goodness. Oh my sweet Lord, I really want to see you. I really want to be with you. George Harrison wrote that, what, like in 1960 something? Yeah. And I just found that again, and it just lifted me up. The month of April in the Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a theme, and it's called the practice of becoming. And exploring who we truly came here to be in this time on our planet. Discovering that becoming does not mean reaching a fixed place or state, but rather devoting or committing our life from a place of presence and openness. And my talk today is the path of presence. Because there is a path. We begin with the practice of awareness, learning to pay attention to life as it unfolds, moment by moment. And as I talked about last Sunday, to be willing to roll away the stone. The stone of what? Doubt, fear, worry, frustration. That is a personal call to embrace a higher consciousness. We're all being called to that. To rise up, to be resurrected, to live from spirit, live from that centered place, and recognize that we are each individualized expressions of the divine. And that each of us, each of you is capable of transformation, of healing, and of being greater, becoming something greater. And then from there, we enter that sacred space of vulnerability where we discover that growth sometimes comes when we have to let go of control and allow ourselves to be supported and seen. So this month I'm encouraging, as I mentioned, each of us to use love with a capital L as a daily practice. And not as a fleeting feeling, but as a conscious act of kindness, compassion, and connection and service. And that's what that green piece of paper is about, the love prayer. So you know how easy it is to say to someone you like, I accept you and I bless you. It's really easy to do it with someone you know or you like. Well, it's not so easy when there are people that push your buttons. Does anybody ever push your buttons? So the idea of the prayer is on the in-breath, you say, I accept you, and on the exhale, you say, I bless you. And as it mentions on that paper, a good place to start is watching television or listening to the news. Now, it's not easy to do that necessarily, but there's a little thing you can do to help yourself get to that place is you can say, the Christ in me accepts you, or the God in me, or the love in me accepts you, and the Christ in me blesses you. Sometimes that's an easier way to begin that process, and eventually you'll find it actually comes from you. But that's how I started with this practice. The Christ in me blesses you. I can't stand you, but the Christ in me loves you. I mean, it's true, right? So I invite you to do this practice with us. And, transformation is not about fixing or perfecting ourselves, but participating. It's about participating fully in the here and now. And we're not walking towards a distant ideal, but toward the depth of our true nature. Recognizing who we are at our core. That's the path of presence. Think about it. What changes in you when you choose to fully be present? Even in the midst of your darkest moments. What if your greatest spiritual power was in this moment? Right here, right now. Take a breath. I've told you many times, one of my favorite Ernest Holmes quotes is, "I cleanse the window of my mind that it may become a mirror reflecting inspiration from the Most High." Because I often can't or won't or don't see the good. But we are each reflections, and we can call upon that reflection of the greater good. So I attended a convention this past week in Reno, Nevada. It was the 2026 CSL Centers for Spiritual Living annual convention at the Peppermill Resort and Casino. Wow. Talk about overstimulation. Lights and music all the time and noise, and it was a lot. And yet we were in this one ballroom with breakout rooms on the sides that we were very focused on. There were about 425 people that attended from all over the country. Ministers, practitioners, center members, from ages about, I would say, 20 to 85 plus. And there were workshops, there was music, and great music. There were power talks. There was gathering, there was connecting, and it really allowed everyone that was there to take a closer walk with Spirit. And we fertilized the atmosphere with our intentions and our vibration. And we do that here too. We do that anytime we come back to our practice. So just a brief thing to tell you that, we are connected to the main bigger organization, and we are represented in 23 countries now. There are 824 active ministers. 17 were just ordained this year. 20 are now in ministerial school. Yes. There are 2,500 practitioners. 74 new ones, 430 emeritus, and this was surprising. 11% of our practitioners are in other countries.
Wow.
Wow, that's big. They're holding the high watch. That's what they're trained for. So that's global outreach. There are about 220 centers of varying size, like ours and West Sac and some of the bigger ones. So there's all these variants of 220. There are 40 what are called teaching chapters. There's 17 teaching centers. There are 42 focus ministries, which are mostly virtual, and there are 20 study groups. And the big news that they announced at the convention was that there's now a partnership with different New Thought organizations. Unity, the Association for Global New Thought, Affiliated New Thought Network, Agape, Divine Science, are all coming together to create a website where someone can go that's thinking about this kind of philosophy and see all the options that they have to participate. And the new website, if you want to look it up, is anawakenedpath.org, I think. And it's just a beautiful idea that we're creating resources together so that we're not in competition with Unity or the others, but we're in a cooperative venture that we all can grow. So we're going to share resources and things like that. So I'm very excited about that. And I don't know if you know, but every month we tithe here, the Foothill Center, we tithe to the larger organization. And it's not just tithing to what's called the home office, but it's tithing to the Centers for Spiritual Living in general and the impact that they have throughout the world. So every Sunday, the money that you give, we give a portion of that back. So it's very powerful. And my experience being there was, yes, we were in a little love bubble for a couple days. I never went to the casino, although Joy and I had to walk through the casino to find the Chinese restaurant, which happened to be closed. So we walked back out and woo, all that smoke and noise and ding, ding, whoa, woo, woo, ding, ding, the lights. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it gave me such appreciation that being in that bubble for the great work that we do offer in the Centers for Spiritual Living. We're really here on this time and this planet for a reason. So we have to share this idea of unity and love and compassion. So the great writer Mark Nepo had this to say: "The point of experience is not to escape life, but to live it. Each of us carries some wisdom waiting to be discovered at the center of our experience, and everything we meet, if faced and held, reveals a part of that wisdom. We have a language of truth growing in our heart that only living can decode. Truth is a seed hidden in the days until watered by our experience. As impatient as we are, this recognition can only happen through time. Like it or not, time slowly exposes the story of our lives with friction, wearing away the film that covers our eyes and the calluses that guard our heart, until we can apprehend the wonder that is waiting just underneath the skin of everything." Wonder, yes, the wonder of life itself. Can we be curious when life shows up in a challenging way for us? You know, one of the most used mantras in the Centers for Spiritual Living is, there's one life, this life is God, this life is perfect, and this life is my life now. We all heard that. And this powerful affirmation centers us and brings us into the now. It puts us on that path of presence. So our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said, "It's not enough to say there's one life and that life is God. We must complete the statement by saying that life is my life now, because we must couple this life with ours in order to express it. We're not becoming this life, we are in it now, and it is our life." Repeat with after me. There is one life.
There is one life.
This life is God.
This life is God.
This life is perfect life.
This life is perfect life.
And this life is my life now.
And this life is my life now.
Take a breath with that. That's a seed that you're planting. So our physical experience and mental nature can lead us to feel separate from the whole. But in truth, we're always becoming, we're always connected to Source. So today I'm going to look at 3 ideas: how mindfulness shapes our spiritual life, how spiritual practices return us to the present moment, and how we can be vulnerable enough to realize that being broken is not the same as being lost. So let's look at mindfulness first. Mindfulness is kind of a buzzword. It has been for quite a few years. Being mindful, just think about that. What does that mean to you, being mindful? You can be mindful when you eat. I know sometimes I just shovel food in. But if I take time to notice the food, the texture, the flavor. Mindfulness is creative energy in motion. It's a conscious practice that's rooted in faith, feeling, and surrender. Our job is to live life as deeply and honestly as possible, allowing the divine to reveal itself through us as we allow it. Mindfulness opens the channels of our consciousness so that the divine may express more fully as the I am. So when we become aware of the divine qualities of life and feel them, we activate them through the law. And a kind of mindful awareness becomes a practice that slowly shapes who we are becoming. I'm mindful that I'm upset or that I could choose a different thought. I can take a breath. Mindfulness is noticing what you're noticing and being present to what is. Did you ever hear that when you were a kid, people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Who knows that?
So you can ask yourself now, who do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be now? Maybe it's something different from the way you were. Who are you becoming? Do you like it? Do you not like it? That's okay. But we're always at choice, right? The second idea is that spiritual practices help us return to the path of presence. So in the science of mind, we use various tools, as you know, like spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, tuning in, meditation, contemplation, journaling, art, nature walks, and more. And not just as something to do, but as conscious practices that help us realize the spiritual principles we are already immersed in. So whatever spiritual practice you choose, do it with conviction, with joy. You know, don't wake up in the morning, oh, I've got to do my meditation now. Darn! I know none of you do that, right? So we want to learn to listen with the ears of our soul. And our practices help us become more aware of what's happening around and within us with love, understanding, and clarity. Let's take a breath together and just close your eyes for a moment. And silently just say to yourself, I am here now. I am here. I am. And just in this precious moment, you're here. There's nowhere you have to be. There's nothing you have to do. Presence. And I invite you to reflect on these questions now. How can I intentionally direct my attention to spiritual truth today? What spiritual practices help anchor me in the moment? And what spiritual perspective has emerged from my own challenges recently? Good, and come back. That's a spiritual practice in itself of that stop. Observe yourself. Take a breath. Be still. Goes a long way in supporting our growth. Taking that pause. Oh my gosh. Let's affirm together, I am an individualized center in the consciousness of God.
I am an individualized center in the consciousness of God.
Woo! The third idea I want to share is being broken is not being lost. And Mark Nepo says, no matter how lost in fear or distrust we may be, no matter how consumed or disoriented by hurt or anger, we can find our way back to all that is heartening by giving ourselves over completely to attention and appreciation. Accept and bless. It goes back to the love prayer. So the love prayer is not only about other people, but it's about what you're not accepting in yourself. An experience you may be having. Can you accept it and bless it? You know, suffering has a way of waking us up, doesn't it? It reveals what matters most, and we all carry past experiences, moments of pain, confusion, grief. Maybe we're in it right now. But these do not define us. We learn to observe our pain without judgment or bitterness, and that can open us to deeper feelings, a deeper connection. So spiritual presence, the path of presence, isn't about avoiding suffering. I've said that many times, but it's about walking through it with loving awareness and allowing that pain and suffering to heal us. It's kind of a strange circle around there, isn't it? Yeah. And we don't have to do it alone. Thank God. We have practitioners. We have spiritual coaches. We have friends that will listen. So we hold here for you, all the practitioners, your wholeness. So when you forget or you don't know that, call us. Our numbers are listed on the back of the bulletin. Please take advantage of us. I do believe that every challenge we have brings a deeper realization of the truth and can help to realign us with the divine intelligence. Nothing is ever lost in spirit. And whatever feels broken in you or in the world can always be redeemed by love. Period. And those astronauts talked about that. It's powerful. So as we practice this month, exploring the theme of becoming, we can discover what it means to live with presence and awareness. And as you all know, we train our consciousness to remember our divine nature, to live it, to embody it, to be it. Tag, you're it. Turn to your neighbor and say, tag, you're it. We're all it. So this is our call to action, to recognize that mindfulness shapes our spiritual life, spiritual practices return us to the now, and being broken is never the end of the story. You've got another chapter. Did you know that? You have another chapter. What if it is the beginning of becoming something greater? I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. Say that with me. I am remembering who I am. So I'd like to close with Mark Nepo says again, one of the rewards for saying yes is deep presence, which opens the vibrancy that exists between all things. For presence is how the soul breathes. And for all the places I've traveled, all the people I've studied with, all the books I've read and written, he says, I'm humbled to say whatever I've learned has come alive through deep presence, which can only be accessed through personal authenticity. Such presence resides in the invisible, charged space in between you and another, you and the world, and the mysterious oneness of all things. So my invitation to you this week is throughout your day, sprinkle in some time in silence. Turn off your devices and just be still. Go outside with an umbrella and be in awe of nature. I was in awe of that storm last night. I just could not come off that front porch, except when that lightning bolt happened. Be in awe of something. This week, throughout your day, focus on your breath for a moment. Be in gratitude. Smile for no reason. Bless your meals. Bless your life. Practice the love prayer. These are simple things we can do to be on that path. So are you willing to be a beneficial presence on the planet and walk on the path of presence?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Really?